Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier Podcast. It's Pro Wrestling Weekly, Wednesday, middle of the week. Plenty of wrestling news to get through. Tonight, we're going to be bringing you, of course, a preview. Sorry, not a preview. What am I saying? A review. Probably feels like a preview. It went on that long, but a review of Double or Nothing. We'll also do a quick look back at King and Queen of the Ring. We'll bring you your usual round of pro wrestling history. Not much this week, I have to say. I dug deep to find the history this week. Plenty of notable birthdays, though, some very interesting ones in there that we will get to. We're also going to be talking about that main event that was declared for Clash at the Castle. We're going to be talking about Uncle Howdy. Are you getting kind of a little bit jaded at the build up to this at this stage? We're going to be talking about Mercedes Moné declaring herself the GOAT. She is the best female wrestler on the planet. Get your thoughts on that. We're going to have a quick look at Will Ospreay as well and his comments about Ricochet and how he's being used in WWE. Do you agree or disagree? Number of exits going out of AEW as well this week. Mark Henry, Arn Anderson, who we featured on the show last week. We spoke about his advice for wrestlers in the business about wanting to have a 20 or a 25-year career and what they should be doing, and not shorten it by 5 years and all that kind of stuff to a 5-year career. And his advice went unheeded, I would say, for large parts of Double or Nothing. We're also going to be talking about a really hot topic at the moment in wrestling at the moment. We've seen Becky Lynch exit the building from Raw the other night. But where does her future lie? We're going to be discussing the pros and cons of WWE versus AEW in the world of Becky Lynch at the moment. What do we think will happen? Where do we think she will go? All that kind of stuff. Could we potentially see Becky Lynch in AEW? I think it's a stretch. I think it's a long shot, but it is something that's hot at the moment and something that needs to be discussed. So we'll be getting your thoughts on that as well. And anything else you want to drop into the chat, we will discuss as always. But as of course, if you could subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification button, drop a like on the video. And of course, check out all the other great content we put up there. We had a great show on Monday with Mark. We have a big show coming up tomorrow night, Thursday Tier Talk. Not kind of a Thursday Tier Talk, but myself and Darren will be back on your screens and we will be giving you a preview for the Champions League coming up this Saturday, a massive match. We'll also be discussing some of the new rules at Man United. We'll be talking a lot of transfer business and all that kind of stuff. And anything else football related that's coming up that you will see tomorrow night, 9 o'clock on your screens. Into the chat with the OGs. Sean is in there. Sean, good news for you tonight as well. There's a lovely CM Punk hoodie winning its way to you from tomorrow, my friend. It came in there this afternoon. I hadn't had a chance to message you, but just to let you know, my friend. So there you go. Howdy, Niall. Legend has a Double or Nothing is still going on. Man, we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it. Ian is in. What's the crack, Niall? All good, Ian. Oh, good to see you there, my friend. TNA Invasion. I love when this crossover stuff happens. I love it. I think it's so good for business, and I think more of it should happen. Shame that people at times can't get on. Sean, I'd say she's just taking time off to spend with the family. There's no way she'd go away. That's my thinking as well, Sean, but it's a hot topic at the moment, and you never know. No one thought Hulk Hogan would go to WCW, and absolutely no one thought he would trade in the red and yellow for the black and white. So we never say never. Scrappermania is shaping up nicely. I haven't seen much of it, Sean, but what I will do is I'm going to probably get you on for a show and we're going to preview Scrappermania. We might do something like that. How does that sound if you're available? Eno's back in as well. They're nicely mentioned AEW on WWE, though they nearly mentioned. Yeah, they did. And you know something? I don't even mind. They probably don't mind if they do, even at this stage. You know, I don't think it really matters. They allude to it all the time. Brilliant lad. Did they get it right this time? They did get it right this time. Absolutely got it right. So there you go. What's the crack, Noah? Big up, Daz. Good to see you, my friend, as well. This is kind of a trial as well, folks. We've redone out the kind of studio here at the moment, so we're still waiting on a few bits and pieces to arrive and a bit of lighting and all that kind of stuff. Let us know what you think of it. But yeah, we've been working on this. I was working on this all last week and this weekend and stuff like that. And it was just chaotic. This room, you couldn't move in it at one stage. And it's a big enough room. It ain't small. Hell yeah, lad. That would be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. You're a guy for this stuff. You're a guy, so why not? LM Gaming is in. How are you? Well, Niall. Ethan Page on NXT. Didn't see that coming. No one's seen that coming. It's about time they started keeping a little bit back, isn't it? And stuff like that. And it was pretty cool as well to see, isn't it? And I have to say, even with the people that they lost up onto the main roster, and fair play to those people, we will be talking about them as well. NXT, still the place to be at times, isn't it? Fair play, fanatics. Everyone makes mistakes, even the retailer of a major sports company. Fanatics, don't get me started. Don't get me started. When are you thinking of it? I've no idea, Sean. We shall discuss on X or whatever it is. Uh, Copeland is injured, Niall. Daz, we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about it. I'm sick to the pit of my stomach about this stuff. It's just crazy. Absolutely ridiculous. Cody Rhodes got Ethan Page to WWE. Fair play if he did. Ian's in. How about that? Darby Allin with a flame torch. Yeah, we're going to be talking about it. Don't worry. We're going to be talking about the craziness of it. So why don't we begin with Double or Nothing? Feels like it only finished this evening, actually. An hour and a half pre-show and then 4.5 hours of a show. Something in the region of 10 matches. Absolutely crazy. Let us know your thoughts on it. Let me know. Cool. Let me know when you want 100% be up for it. Absolutely. Be good for me as well to get tuned back into the Irish scene as well. Good to see Gangrel in AEW. It was a moment and stuff like that. Unfortunately, spoiled right at the end and stuff like that. And that's the problem, isn't it? And that's what we're going to talk about. New AEW mixed tag team titles. I seen that, Aces. I seen it. Let me know your thoughts on it. I enjoyed it, but much too long. MJF Triple H jacket. I loved it. I love that shit. I'm gonna put that out there now. I love when they do these things. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos online or TikToks or whatever it was. They had the Triple H music playing over the music as well for the entrance, and it was so cool, so cool. Really, really enjoyed that bit and stuff like that. So let's go down through it. Let's start anyway. We start off Will Ospreay, Roddy Strong versus Will Ospreay for the International Championship. We knew that this was going to find its way to Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay ain't going in there unless there's gold on the line and stuff like that. I really kind of enjoyed this match. It was an excellent open match. That spot terrified me. That spot to the neck terrified the bejesus out of me, I have to say. Ospreay is, he's unbelievable in the stuff that he does. But again, we talk about this situation. When is too much in terms of you've Tony Khan in there at the moment paying an awful lot of money to these guys and girls. He can ill afford to have them injured. But when we talk about creative control, which tends to be a big issue in there, and a big selling point in there for wrestlers to go in there to have that creative control. Sometimes it backfires and sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes it needs someone to turn around and go, maybe don't do that. Because the margins for error are so thin. The difference between being out for a year and getting away with it with a bit of a stinger are so thin. We're talking such small margins. And I just don't think I don't think in these cases that the squeeze is worth the juice. I just don't think it, and that's how I really feel about it and stuff. NXT North American Women's Championship, yeah, absolutely. Listen, they're stacked to the gills down there. They need to give these girls something to push for. Floyd Mayweather in AEW. Oh god, yeah, that spot was rotten, wasn't it? It was rotten. At Acers, when is Blood and Guts and what's the teams? Acers. Jeff Jarrett said on pre-show that Will Ospreay, Tiger Driver 91 shouldn't have been banned. Of course it shouldn't. Look. This is the stupidity that goes on in there, isn't it? Love Jeff Jarrett, big fan of Jeff Jarrett and stuff like that. But that's not the thing to be condoning, and that's not the thing to be saying. It's absolutely crazy. And we even seen it. We seen it when we go talk about King and Queen of the Ring. We seen the vertebraker as well. And when that happens, everyone goes, "Oh, these are just too dangerous." And they're putting people on the shelf and can ill afford to be doing it. Q from Impractical Jokers was there. Yeah, absolutely. But let's go down through it then. Yeah, Will Ospreay picking up the win. He's our new international AEW International Champion. Not unexpected. Um, Kind of felt with Roddy when it happened and stuff like that, there was going to be a kind of a transitional thing. The crowd was on their feet the whole time, so they got the crowd going. So a really good opening match. That's followed then by the Adam Cole MJF, as the boys spoke about here in the chat and stuff like that. MJF coming out, and I thought that the video package was really, really cool, and piecing the two pictures together and all that kind of cool stuff. I thought was really, really good. The only thing I would say about it is, I don't know why it was second on the card, if you like. I don't know why they didn't hold it till later in the card. And the one thing I would say about the card here, you could at least pick maybe 3 or 4 matches on the card that you could just put on Dynamite or Collision or Rampage. It doesn't need to be on this. I still really believe that going nearly 6 hours and 4.5 hours of a show, I still believe in this day and age is too much. I just think it's too much. And I even feel it here. When I'm doing the reviews of the shows, the AEW review to me is it feels like a workload. Whereas when I do the WWE one, it's 3 hours, it's 6 matches, boom, 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 boom. So much easier to deal with. And I just think that it's crazy. And they really need to look. And I don't know why they feel, even in the build up to these shows, that there's a reasoning for every single person to be on the show. And if they want to do this, then just go 2 nights. Just be done with it and go 2 nights, because it's too much, way too much. So that was my feeling on that. But I did love the Cole MJF's situation. I loved the Triple H jacket and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't as big a fan of the heel tattoo, but certainly enjoyed the jacket spot and stuff like that. And I have to say, all these guys going off injured for a while, when they come back, I don't know what they're doing, but whatever they're doing, they're all coming back looking $1 million, aren't they? We've seen it with AJ Styles, we've seen it with Randy Orton, now we're seeing it with MJF. Good Lord, Braun Strowman. Whatever these guys are doing, they're eating all the fruit and fibre while they're away. And they look $1 million. Next up was the Trios Championship, Bang Bang Gang versus Death Triangle. Winners, of course, Bang Bang Gang. Kind of felt this match was a weird one because I probably didn't get enough time. Now, I'm not mad into it, but it didn't get enough time. Good to see Juice back, of course, but didn't seem to get enough time. That's how I felt about it. And that's weird to be talking about a 4.5 hour show with an hour and a half preview, and saying that certain matches didn't get enough time. What I did like in the card was the way the women's matches got plenty of time. I thought that was really, really important, because I think the investment that they're making in the women now is starting to come true. And you can see it with Mercedes Moné gone in there as well, and now wrestling and the belt and all that kind of stuff. It's really, really important. Similar to what they did in TNA, similar to what they've done in WWE, that the women need to be sometimes at the forefront of these things and really push hard and given enough time to express themselves and show how good they are and all that kind of stuff. Really, really important in this case. Next up, Tony Storm. I love that character at the moment. I just love it. Versus Serena Deeb, and I'm a big fan of both of these girls. I think they're really, really good, and I thought they put on a really good match. Really strong, really good technical match. Deeb obviously let down by going up onto the top, and not really her comfort zone and stuff like that. Took her kind of out of her game plan and stuff like that. But really, really good. Put on a really, really good match and very, very enjoyable. Orange Cassidy versus Trent. Orange Cassidy picking up the win. Decent match. Nothing really to say about the match, but could have been a match that easily could just belong on Dynamite or Collision or wherever you want to put it. Doesn't necessarily have to be on this. Let me take some comments here before I lose where I am. Where are we? There we go. If Osprey can do it safely, then it's fine, but it's very risky. But then, by that logic, why aren't pile drivers and DDTs or any move where you land on your head banned? Listen, here, that's a conversation to be had, isn't it? It's definitely a conversation to be had. The margins are so fine. Look at what happened with Owen Hart and Austin. What could have been for Austin only for that. I wonder who will be in the Battle Royal tonight. Yeah, should be interesting. Should be interesting. Edge spot remind me of Savage at Holloway and Havoc 1997 Thunder Cage match between Hogan and Piper. Very much so. Very much so. The shortest match on the main card was 12:20. It was, yes. It's mad. I saw people arguing on Twitter, how can you watch 3 hours of Raw but not an AEW pay per view? Raw's only 2.5 hours without ads. Exactly. Exactly. It would make sense if the King and Queen of the Ring event was contested under mixed tag rules. Don't think that would work. Don't think that would work. It didn't get enough time, but it was still too long. Yeah. I just mean in terms of the structure of the match. I'm not saying I wanted more. I'm saying it just felt like it needed more. But again, that's another match simply could have been put on at one of the TV shows. The Monet Maker is a great move if she can actually hit it. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This is the best female wrestler on the planet now. We're going to be having a conversation. Mercedes Monet going to be unveiling new TSB championship soon. There we go. Do we know who's on the tournament? Owen Hart one, I mean. Not too sure whether they've released the brackets. I think they only released some information on it the other night. Damian Priest will be retained the championship against Drew McIntyre. Sure about that? Interesting. Interesting. I have to say, we'll get into it when we go through King and Queen of the Ring and a touch on Raw and stuff like that. That heavyweight championship area and everyone that's kind of moving into the mix and getting involved is making it quite exciting. I don't think we've heard the end either of that Orton shoulder thing, and we'll talk about it in the other review when we come to it, you know. But certainly interesting, that is for sure. Right, next up, yeah, Orange Cassidy went through that. Jericho versus Hook versus Shibata for the FTW Championship. Jericho retaining. Again, for me, this was another match that could have belonged on one of the TV shows and stuff like that. Again, it was a decent match. I did not enjoy it. But again, you're kind of I find with AEW as well that if you're watching it and you're in watching the whole show and stuff like that, you're kind of saving yourself for certain elements of it. And it doesn't allow you that if you had a two-nighter, you wouldn't. It doesn't allow you to sometimes fully immerse yourself in what's going on, you know? So that's the only thing about it and stuff like that. I didn't, there was nothing wrong with the match at all. I fully enjoyed it and stuff like that. But again, such a huge structure and such a body of work that has to be squeezed into this time. Absolutely crazy. Next up, Mox versus Takeshita. Moxley picking up the win, of course. IWGP Heavyweight Championship Eliminator. I like the work on the arm and stuff like that. The chemistry between the two boys felt a little bit off. As far as I know as well, it was Takeshita's birthday this weekend as well for the show as well, which is kind of cool as well. But obviously the use of the chair and Don Callis, of course, leaves things a little bit open to continue on this kind of feud as such, if you like. So nothing wrong with it all. AEW TNT Championship barbed wire steel cage match. Adam Copeland going in as the champion versus Malachi Black. The winner, of course, Adam Copeland coming out winner. And still AEW TNT champion. Guys, what did you make of this match? How do you feel about this and stuff like that? I thought the Slayer stuff was cool. I thought the entrance was cool. I thought Gangrel involved was cool. I have to turn around and say I'm a huge fan of both guys. I'm a huge Aleister Black fan. I still have 3 or 4 of Aleister Black's t-shirts in the wardrobe over there, ready for if he ever makes a return. They're there, ready to go. Always been a huge fan of Edge and, of course, Adam Copeland. But with this match, my biggest concern with this, again, is that creative control, that freedom and stuff like that, that there's no one there really going, does it really need that? At the risk of losing Edge, and now we found out that he has a fractured tibia, which is going to keep him out God knows how long. I'm not too sure, depending on the extent of the fracture. But his 2024 could be over. And when you think about the money that Tony Khan is paying out, and how heavily he relies on those guys, the Brian Danielsons, the Adam Copelands, the MJFs, the Adam Coles, all these people, Eddie Kingston, all those guys, Moxley, they're the guys that he really relies on, that pull the shows together and keep the viewings either steady or slightly higher and stuff like that. And when you lose those guys, they're a massive loss. When Adam Copeland isn't on your show, you feel it. And that's the risk. And that's why sometimes when you think about it, if they're in a creative meeting there and the two boys turn around and Adam Copeland goes, right, this is what we're going to do. The end of the match is you're going to be on the table. I'm going to cover you in the barbed wire. I'm going to go to the top of the cage. I'm going to jump on you. And I think in AEW, what happens there, you have Tony Khan going, yeah, guys, that's a super idea. Let's do that. But if you're in WWE and that's Triple H and Shawn Michaels, not maybe necessarily Vince. I spoke with Darren about this today, and he kind of said maybe Vince would probably go, yeah, okay. But I think they're going to turn around and go, man, you're 50. Your body's been through hell. You've had a career-ending injury that took you out of the business for X amount of years. We don't really need to be doing this, do we? This doesn't really add anything to it because the match is going to be a solid match between the two guys. You're going to give people what they want. And there's no need to really do that. Come up with something else that's way safer. They don't do it. He comes off the top of the cage. Next thing we know, a fractured tibia. He's probably gone for the rest of the year. Who knows? That's the price that people are paying for people in there. And this is what Aaron Anderson spoke about last week. But clearly people don't listen. And that's the problem. But yeah, I think the brutality of the match I thought was brilliant. I thought the Brood whole thing was kind of cool, the real throwback. We love all that stuff. And see, all that stuff sells the match. So you don't need to be then doing these chaotic, stupid stuff. Whatever about if you're a Darby Allin, and we spoke about that like even at times he shouldn't be doing some of the stuff that he does. But if you're Adam Copeland with the mileage that's on your body from this business, and also the injuries that you've had, these things really need to be thought about. And the fact that as well that the spot now was a bit hokey on the landing and stuff like that and all. It wasn't quite a crossbody kind of situation, So I don't know. For me, it's just not needed. I think it's too much. Where are we? Madison Square Garden leaked Damian Priest versus Jey Uso for the World Heavyweight Championship on June 27th. I wouldn't worry about that because card is always subject to change. What's up with Tama Tonga? Kind of starting to sound like that character from Lord of the Ring, my precious. CM Punk will cause Drew in Scotland. Interesting. Mox and Takeshita had no stakes at all, and they really hurt it. That really hurt it, yeah. Absolutely. I'm hoping that CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam Hell in a Cell. It's a shout. That's a shout. I thought the match was great crack, but Gangrel and Slayer were the icing on the cake for me. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you think about it right after the show and stuff like that, and hats off to the other creators out there, the other content creators who review the shows. And in the States, a lot of these creators review the shows right after they've watched the show. So not only are they doing 6 hours of the show, right after it, they're jumping on and probably doing another hour and a half or 2 hours of a review. So hats off to them as well. Little Spike Dudley was back wrestling 3 weeks later after fracturing his tibia. Yeah. But Edge, as you get older, it takes much longer to come back from these things. And depending on the severity of the fracture. But we shall see. We shall see. But again, you know what I mean? Just no need for it. Massive difference between a 50-year-old and Edge compared to young Spike. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely massive difference. Tama Tonga sounds like Beavis. Absolutely. Up next, we had the AEW TBS Championship. Willow Nightingale champion going in versus Mercedes Moné. Winner, Mercedes Moné, new AEW TBS champion. I think the spot that they occupied on the show, I think they delivered. I think Mercedes Moné's work was just a little bit loose, but to be expected. She's not wrestling as many matches, and that will probably improve as she gets back into the rhythm of it and stuff like that. I thought he told a really good story in the ring and stuff like that. The dueling ankle injuries, uh, Willow having Monet beat. I thought it was all done very well. And I thought it kind of worked well. And again, this was another one as well where we knew that this was kind of going to happen. Like, there wasn't a huge amount of shocks on this show. And the titles that changed hands, we kind of expected it, didn't we? Especially as you're coming into the summer now and you're pushing towards the likes of All In and stuff like that at Wembley and stuff like that. So certain kind of things have to be laid out and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought both women's matches were really, really good. And for me, those two matches were actually kind of a real highlight of the show, to be honest. AEW World Heavyweight Championship, Swerve Strickland, whose house is it? Versus Christian Cage. Swerve retaining the belt as AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Um, Lots of story in this, a little bit of chicanery, as they say. Some really good pro wrestling. Um, Kind of find with Adam Copeland and Christian at the moment, they're kind of doing what they're doing at this point in their career, isn't it? To see what they're doing at the moment is kind of amazing when you think how long they've been around. Um, and especially with Christian, I mean, Christian's being one of those guys that he kind of operates at a level and he's pretty consistent. Pretty consistent. But Swerve overcame all the obstacles, pulled out all the stops, and he retained his title, as probably expected. Then we get on to the anarchy in the arena. The Elite versus Team AEW. Team AEW trying to save the world. We know the Elite picked up the win. Jack Perry just pinned Bryan Danielson. Let that sink in. Darby Allin died about 4 or 5 times. What did we make of the flamethrower? Guys being set alight. You had Tony Khan rolling down the ramp like a fan who jumped the barrier and just took a left to the jaw. Absolutely crazy stuff in this all around the arena. Um, Huge amount of time devoted to it. That wasn't unexpected. But yeah, again, another kind of craziness and stuff, flamethrowers, all this kind of stuff, and it's just you seen the runners with the spikes in them and all this kind of stuff. Kind of a lot of shittery, really. It was kind of like just one of those matches that was kind of a mess, really, wasn't it? It was just going on everywhere and stuff like that. We know AEW, when matches tend to break away like that and go all over the place and stuff like that. At times, so much stuff is missed. But yeah, it was kind of the match that was always going to kind of end it, with those VPs involved in it and stuff like that. Let me know your thoughts. What did you think of it? It's kind of a little bit weird to me. WWE NXT Battleground on Sunday week. UFC have Fight Night in Abu Dhabi on the same day as SummerSlam. Interesting. UFC 302 on Saturday night. There we go. That's your update on the UFC. So yeah, that kind of rounded it out for me. There wasn't a whole lot else to talk about. It. Two new champions in Will Ospreay and Mercedes Moné, not unexpected. And again, just a block of matches that could have been on TV rather than on this to just bring the time down slightly. Yeah, that's all I can really say about it. There's not else I can really say about it. Edge unfortunately coming out of it injured. Will Ospreay absolutely nearly breaking his neck. But yeah, crazy stuff. Right, let's get into King and Queen of the Ring because we have plenty to talk about tonight. 5-on-5 Matchroom versus Queensberry on Saturday night. That should be interesting. I'm interested in that concept as well. Is all in the next AEW pay per view. Now that's Forbidden Door 30th of June. Forbidden Door. So let's see how that goes. Right, let's switch it up. Let's talk about a show that probably the timing is correct on and the structure is correct on and all that kind of stuff. How did we feel about this show, King and Queen of the Ring? I know in recent times and even in previous times with the crown jewels and the Saudi stuff and all that kind of stuff going on, people weren't as endeared to this now. I think it's kind of a staple, isn't it, now on the WWE calendar? And they confirmed as well Crown Jewel in November. So it looks like when Vince was saying they're home, he wasn't messing that time when he was interviewed with Undertaker, was he? Um, Kenny, what's the story with MJF's AEW tattoo? Did Stevie Wonder do it? The only thing I'm hoping, Kenny, is that it was actually one of those temporary transfer yokes. Because if that's real, whoever did it should be shot. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that poker chip looked like. But whoever did it, it was not an easy place to get tattooed either, but kind of weird, kind of very very weird. Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul was mint. It was mint, wasn't it? There wasn't a huge amount to complain about on this. Okay, you could talk about Orton's shoulder being up, and does that lend to a little bit of continuation or whatever it is, I thought Sami Zayn winning against Bronson Reed and Chad Gable and the way Otis and all that stuff went, I thought that was really, really cool. We're beginning to see the unraveling of the Alpha Academy. Um, and Bronson Reed really, really good. Took as part of this. Sami Zayn coming out the field, winning at 13 minutes 40. But nice structure to this show and all and stuff like that. Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill defeated Indy Hardwell and Candice LeRae. Yeah, I love sometimes it's mad, isn't it, to see the outfits that the girls have to wear over there because of the local stuff and all that and that. And then of course Nia Jax come out and she's in that ring gear anyway. So it's no difference for her. I was saying that to Darren and we were laughing about going, Nia just comes out in her normal ring gear and all the other girls are dressed right up to the neck and stuff like that. But certainly Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill looking very, very impressive. I do feel this is eventually going to come with a turn though, isn't it? And they're kind of just putting little things out there at times and stuff like that, just little things that would lead you to believe that eventually there's going to be a power struggle within these two in the team. But yeah, real decent match. Really, really cool to see it. Liv Morgan versus Becky to win the WWE Women's Championship. Liv Morgan taking the win at 15 minutes 22. Big fan of Liv Morgan. I said it on the last pay-per-view and stuff like that. And I felt that when Rhea relinquished the belt, that it should have went to Liv and stuff like that. And we weren't too sure about Becky's contract and what way they were going to do. And we'll talk about Becky in a few minutes as well. I thought the match really, really delivered. Liv Morgan, her character development and stuff like that, it's so on point. I just really think she's so good. And her wrestling is really good as well. And obviously, of course, Becky getting the rematch on Raw and then that not going her way. And that moment she spent in the ring, and then you see her walking out. And of course, she put up on socials to be continued and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about that in a bit and stuff like that. But Liv Morgan continues and all, and that dynamic with Dominic and all is really cool. And when Rhea returns, and who's going to be that girl in the Judgment Day and stuff like that. So there's lots of groundwork being laid here that's really, really, really cool. So yeah, good stuff. Sammy, as I said, picking up the win. Chad is so good, isn't he? He's like just a mini Kurt Angle. I wonder if he's been talking to Kurt Angle because he has that even on the mic, that kind of timing and intensity and all that kind of stuff. Really, really cool to see it. One that I'm really impressed with, Lyra Valkyria coming up from NXT. She has absolutely hit the ground running. Loved her entrance with the wings and all that kind of stuff. Looked $1,000,000 and stuff like that. Going in there, of course, against Nia Jax. Nia Jax picking up the win and becoming queen of the ring, which was kind of expected. That finish, though, would have caved in most people's rib cages and stuff like that. And we seen Lyra last night on Raw with the patched up rib cage and all that kind of stuff. But I tell you, she's hit the ground running. The company's right behind her and she's gone from strength to strength. And we did say going into that like Shark Tank of the women's division and coming up from NXT, what way were they going to handle it and how was it going to work and all that kind of stuff? And would we look back on this and say maybe they would have been better staying in NXT and stuff like that? But in this case, Lyra is doing absolutely brilliant stuff. So hats off to her and stuff like that. And also Nia obviously picking up the crown. And I have to say, Nia, since she came back as well, has looked really, really good. It's dropped a little bit of the poundage, if you like, starting to look really good. And also you can see her work is improving and stuff like that. So good for her. Next up, Gunther versus Randy Orton. The entrances were awesome to say the least. And I have to say, the spectacle that they put on out there is absolutely phenomenal, isn't it, as well? Really, really good. Both these guys absolutely incredible. Um, Obviously, the winner of this gets the match at SummerSlam. But in between that, of course, we have Clash of the Castle to be deciding. That was announced. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. So we will have Gunther coming up, who takes on the winner of that. The only bit in this was Orton shoulder up. How did we feel about that? Was it a non-thing? I know Triple H had to come out and discuss it because of the way it happened, but he kind of overruled it and stuff like that and said Gunter is your king of the ring and all that kind of stuff and all. But the psychology, there was a masterclass of psychology in this match, wasn't there? As you would expect with Orton, because his matches have that such deep meaning as well. He rarely gives you these throwaway matches around like that. So really, really, really impressive. And it's down through the card, you know what I mean? It built lovely towards the main event, you know. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Let me get in your comments, as they say. Um, Cody Rhodes versus Logan Paul was mint. We're going to talk about it now in a minute. Keith, big up, Keith. I find AEW an absolute car crash of a company, to be honest. I enjoyed seeing Gangrel as Attitude Era kid myself. That brought back some nostalgia, but I'm enjoying WWE hell of a lot more. Fair enough. Someone in MGM Grand Hotel did MJS tattoo. They should be fired. That camera shot, I will not be going there for a tattoo when I go to Mania 41. That camera shot from Logan's Dive was awesome. They just have it down, Kenny, don't they? They have it down. They rarely miss anything, and everything is on point. Everything is on point. In what way is that related to the Samoan dynasty? Cody versus LA Knight is rumored for Clash. Interesting. The only thing I don't know if you're finding this. I mean, obviously Roman's taking time off. We knew The Rock was going to go off, and obviously Seth getting injured as well. But how have you feel about now? You know, a certain amount of time on from Mania 40 now. How do we feel things are leveling out? You know, do we feel it's kind of like I felt with the heavyweight belt with Seth that it was just month after month it was someone new, but there wasn't real emotional meaningfulness to it. And it just felt like it nearly felt like it was a TV title at times, you know. Um, Whereas obviously with Roman carrying the WWE Championship, you know, there was a lot more to it. There was a lot more focus to it. It was, you know, there was bigger build ups. He wasn't around as much. You know what I mean? Do we feel at this stage now, do we feel, you know, with Cody, do we feel that maybe do we need him around as much, or would it be better if we didn't see him as much? Now, I don't mean, you know, go missing for a couple of months or anything like that, but maybe if we only seen him maybe on two of the shows a month and maybe the pay per view, would that generate more of a desire to see it and stuff like that, or how do we feel about it at the moment? Because I just feel it's like he's ticking boxes on a list, like the list of Jericho, and you know, next month it's LA Knight, the month after that it's this, the month after that's that, and he's just knocking off a kind of a list, but nothing feels like it's a moment. The match, the main event, I thought was excellent. Logan Paul, I'm such a big fan, you know, of how he is taken to the business and how he wrestles and how he gets it and his timing and the way he does things and the way he agitates in that way as a heel and all that kind of stuff. Like you really want to kick his ass, don't you? You really do want to kick his ass. And he's absolutely brilliant. And we've seen it in this, the splash through the announce table. And as Kenny said earlier, the way they cut that moment was absolutely awesome. And the camera work was insane. The way he spat out the prime, you got, whatever about MJF with the leather jacket, or the denim jacket with the leather sleeves. And, you've got Logan Paul spitting out the prime stuff and then to hit it. And not only hit it, but he hits it so crisp. You know what I mean? Like everything is generally just spot on. It was really, really cool the way he impresses. And this was a really cool match. And again, your man interfering again, the guy they use as the guest announcer, the movie star the movie star guy from Saudi. and he's also a big comedian as far as I know over there as well. But he kind of got a little bit involved and created that kind of distraction to allow Cody do his thing and stuff like that and all. But yeah, again, another really impressive outing. A real good opponent for Cody Rhodes, and the two boys had a lot of chemistry as well, which I liked. And I just wonder, rather than turning around and going, right, next month it's LA Knight, the month after that it might be Braun Strowman or whatever it is, you know, should they run these feuds maybe over a couple of months and like, give them time to become something, give them time to marinate a little bit rather than, okay, Logan Paul's another one off the list. Let me know your thoughts and what you think on that. Chad Gable versus Otis Clash at the Castle. Yeah, that kind of saddens me a little bit, Aces. I could see that it's coming and stuff like that, but then where does Chad go in terms of the IC belt then as well? You know what I mean? And I think we're all in agreement, as much as a lot of you guys on here are Sami Zayn fans and stuff like that. And we're happy at Mania, where I was happy for Gunther to retain, of course. And I'm happy for Sami to have the belt as well, but I just think it's all roads surely lead to Chad. They have to, don't they? Stephen, what is the crack, my friend? How are you? Hope you're good. I got a lot of 15 LJN figures on adverts for €30. Absolute bargain. Love it, Stephen. Love it. If you get a chance after the show, Stephen, send us a pic, will you? Send us a pic. I'd love to see them. Just hit me up on Twitter or whatever it is. Was the NXT North American Women's title just to Red? Rewarded to Red? No idea. It's dipped a small bit since Mania has ended, but it's still enjoyable to watch. It is still very enjoyable to watch, but I just get the feeling it doesn't have, where we're getting the quality, it doesn't seem to have the emotional depth that it did have. And that's the only thing that I'd be worried about. And of course, it's going to do that when you take out the likes of Roman, Seth, and The Rock, of course, But yeah, absolutely. Keith, I love the way Triple H brought back the old school way, winning the King of Ring and Queen. That person gets a title shot. It gives the King of the Ring a bit more credibility. It does. It's something to aim for, and it means it's a prize. You know what I mean? And listen. If you have to carry around the crown, it's probably a lot better than carrying around a briefcase, isn't it? But yeah, absolutely cool. I like that. Kenny, defo big fan of long term storytelling. And I think that Cody and Randy could have that. They could indeed, yeah. Even if you project Gunther in there and stuff like that. Like I don't want Cody to then, okay, Cody's gonna do LA Knight, then he's gonna do Gunther, then he's gonna do Randy Orton, and then it's just month on month on month on month, and you're not really creating anything there, that we can really get our teeth into, because we know it's only going to run a month and then it's kind of done. But that was really it. That rounded it out. I thought it was a very enjoyable premium live event. Again, really nicely structured in the way it went. Everything was nicely on time. 6 matches, 3 hours. What more would you want? And you don't feel exhausted by it. You kind of nearly feel a little bit exhilarated by it. The Logan Paul Cody was a perfect way in order to end the show and stuff like that. And some of the stuff that they did was really, really cool. I have to say out there as well, not quite on Backlash levels, but the fan interaction every time they go there is growing more and more and more, which is really, really important to these shows. And you can see the fans are getting super excited about it the more it comes and stuff like that, which is what we want to see, as opposed to if they start getting too much of it, they might turn around and go, back off a little bit. So pretty cool to see that excitement is still there and still growing as these events happen over there, which is pretty cool. Right, what are we going to talk about? Give me your thoughts on this. Mark Henry finishing up in AEW. I think his contract expired yesterday. He mentioned it on Busted Open Radio. He wants to go off and focus on brand Mark Henry and markhenry.com and various other things and stuff like that. And that's fair enough. But also Aaron Anderson is exiting the building as well. There's a lot of knowledge. And this is what my concern does be at times with AEW, that if you don't have these guys around as sounding boards and stuff like that, and people are just allowed to run wild a little bit. And we're also hearing as well, Jack Swagger is finished up there as well. So what do you think is going to happen with him? Could you see him going back to WWE, or what's going to happen? And how do you feel about the likes of Mark Henry moving on and Aaron Anderson moving on and stuff like that? And there's probably going to be more as well. And is this a move by AEW as well? Are they trying to stack the money up or save the money up if you want to launch bigger contracts to try and get in bigger people? We're going to be talking about Becky Lynch in a few minutes. How do we feel about that? But let me know your thoughts. AEW people is in the building. Um, the level of delusion in there. How do we feel about this at the moment? This is the best wrestling roster in the world. This is the best wrestler in the world. All this kind of stuff. This is the kind of stuff that we're hearing at the moment. For me, it's just crazy, and that's not the disrespect who's on that roster. It's not to disrespect Mercedes Moné in any way. But to be putting out that kind of stuff when you see on the other side of the page what's being put out week in, week out, and on these premium live events, there's a huge level of delusion, I think, in coming out with this stuff. Maybe it's being used just as a triggering mechanism, maybe not, but it's certainly far from the truth. Again, let me know your thoughts. Keith, you think they will give the money in the bank to Braun Breaker? He would be my guess. Have you seen Braun Breaker move, folks? Did you see last night the way he crawled down and then just put it into gear over the barrier like it didn't exist, into the ring, never broke step, and absolutely cut him in two. Cut him in two. Braun Breaker, wow, incredible, isn't it? Big future ahead for Braun Breaker and stuff like that. That guy is a serious athlete, and he's an absolute destroyer. Big up, Andrew. Good seeing my friend. Hope you're having a good evening. Ian is in King of the Ring 93 2002. I am praying that Hogan doesn't book Floyd Mayweather versus Paul White. Hopefully not. The first one wasn't great either, and I was there. I think Mark Henry and Aaron got fed up because none of the talent would listen to the vets. That's a real problem, isn't it? And that's a real problem. And then you see, this is the upshot of it, and no one likes to say, I told you so. And certainly Aaron Anderson and Mark Henry wouldn't be those type of guys, that's for sure. But they really should listen. There's just things in there that just don't need to be done. And there's other things as well that they just bring it down from us trying to take it serious, don't they? When I see guys coming out with flamethrowers and stuff like that and all, I just, it's bewildering to me at times. Absolutely bewildering. Let me know your thoughts on this. AEW's Will Ospreay finds the way WWE has been booking Ricochet as of late to be appalling. How do you feel in the chat, folks, about Ricochet? What a phenomenal athlete. Lovely guy. Met him a couple of times. He was over for OTT and stuff like that. A heck of a talent. Has a very unique skill set and style and stuff like that. But is that unique skill and style set, does that hamper him somewhat from breaking through into that top level and stuff like that? How do you feel about that? Let me know your thoughts on it. I'm a big fan of Ricochet, but again, he's one of those guys. I mean, do you see a day where Ricochet holds a World Heavyweight Championship or a WWE Championship? And if you do, how does he have to evolve and what needs to happen? And do you agree with Will Ospreay? Has WWE been booking him in a certain way? We've seen the matches that he's had. We've seen the matches prior to WWE, and the stuff that he can do is absolutely phenomenal. But I wonder if the style levels up in that way. Let me know. Let me know. Eno's in. Yeah, absolutely. He's a destroyer. Porrick, thanks for joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Hello from Munster. Ballymckelgie, Kerry Tralee. Love it, Porrick. Thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel as well, Porrick, and hitting the bell notification button and all that good stuff. Plenty of good wrestling content coming over the months in the summer, at least, to say the least. He's saying great talent and really good in the ring. He would be best suited down in NXT. Yeah, Yeah, maybe is that the case? Maybe does he need like what they did with Balor and some of these talents? Does he need a stint back down there to kind of find himself to come back up again and stuff like that? I often look at Ricochet as well, and I think he needs to be part of a faction, doesn't he? He needs to feel belong to something. I find when he's on his own, it's kind of as good a talent as he is and stuff like that, it feels a little bit lonely, to say the least. Still 0-0 in the Conference League final. Yeah, Fiorentina, Olympiacos. Um, Keep us updated as to how that happens. We will get you out of here, no doubt, for the second half anyway. Kenny, with Ricochet, he has shown a little more character of late, but still needs to tone it back a bit in terms of the flips. Less is more. Yeah, if he could unravel some more character development, couldn't he, and just come back a little bit on the craziness and chaotic side kind of style and stuff like that. Um, he put him in a heel faction or something like that and see how it goes, or maybe, as we said, a stint down on NXT and just regenerate him again, stuff like that. He's a super talent, and that's the problem. And it's just sometimes these talents like that, if you don't kind of adjust it in a certain way or send it down a certain path, it can kind of stagnate a little bit. He should be huge, he should be a big superstar in there. He's there long enough now and he's super talented. And King of the Ring had its days. Why keep bringing it back? You'll never get that spark again. You won't get it in terms of the way the original King of the Rings and stuff like that, the way they went, because there was obviously super talent involved in them and stuff like that. But hey, I'm not knocking the King or Queen of the Ring at the moment. I thought Saturday was really, really good, and the fact that they now both carry title matches at SummerSlam makes them really, really important and stuff like that. And it probably makes us we'll look at it and sort of invest in it in a different way and stuff like that when that kind of thing is on the line and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not too upset. They'll always bring these things back. Sure, it makes sense. So if it worked in the past, why wouldn't it work now? They just have to let it evolve a little bit because it's not the 90s. It's 2024, so they have to let it evolve. So yeah, Ricochet, keep on letting us know your thoughts on that and how you feel about it. This How are you feeling about this QR code after QR code after little video after little video? Is it getting to a stage now where it needs unveiling and get it going and stuff like that? How do we feel about it? Are you getting a bit jaded by the journey to get to it? Are WWE kind of taking their time to kind of sense check the reaction to it? I did say that I was unsure about this, and that sometimes things are better off left alone. But how do you feel about it? Let me know. What do you think? Um, how is it all evolving for you? What do you make of these QR codes and these little videos and all that kind of stuff? And what do you think? Let me know. Bring back Mexicals and have Ricochet in the stable with them lawnmowers and all. Can you imagine? Remember the Mexicals? Oh my god, that was mad. Wasn't it super crazy and all? Yeah, it was absolutely nuts. And a weird time in wrestling as well, wasn't it? Daz, friendlies again next week, Niall. Yeah, absolutely. Tell you, mad, isn't it? It just never ends. I haven't been. I'm still getting over Jurgen Klopp leaving, and we seen the stuff last night as well from the evening in the arena there in Liverpool and stuff like that, and how upset he was and stuff like that. And also, I've kind of purposely just steered a little bit away from Liverpool content just for a week or so to let me digest him leaving and what's happening at the club and stuff like that. But we'll bring you some sort of Liverpool content this week. We'll get a club update and all that kind of stuff, and transfer rumours and all that kind of stuff to kick it off again. I was quite emotional about it, because I'm probably older than most of you guys and stuff like that. So for me, nothing is a given really in terms of winning leagues and winning Champions Leagues and stuff like that and all. And he brought us that and made us really happy. So when he was leaving, I was quite emotional. And my wife would tell you guys and all, it doesn't take a whole lot to bring a tear to my eye, to be honest. So it was a tough week to see him go, and it was a tough watch to the point where I said it on one of the review shows and stuff like that. I had to start switching social media off in terms of some of that stuff because it was getting too much. It's Willy Wonka. Yeah, absolutely. Let us know your thoughts on this Uncle Howdy stuff, and the way it's all shaping up, and like when is it really going to happen? And is it being heavily dragged out? As we mentioned already, we got our main event for Clash of the Castle. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Haters has reckoned that they have spoilers out there for the MSG show showing Damian Priest as champion versus Jey Uso. But again, card is always subject to change and stuff like that. So, but Drew back in Scotland, could we see the Warrior? Could we see him not do it? Not do it. Interesting to see. But again, let us know your thoughts. I'd like to think Drew would pick up the belt in Glasgow, Scotland, but we shall see. We shall see. And how do you feel about Damian Priest? How you feeling about Damian Priest as heavyweight champion? Let me know your thoughts on that as well. They need to debut them at the next pay-per-view, to be honest, Niall. If they leave it any longer, it will be starting to drag out. For me, it's dragging out already. We are getting a QR code tomorrow, I think. Yeah, it'll be Friday, wouldn't it? Probably on SmackDown. Yeah, sorry. No, not tomorrow. Friday. SmackDown, yeah. Absolutely does. Right, what do we make of this? This has been huge news this week, hasn't it? Obviously Becky coming up short against Liv on Raw, and that moment in the ring, taking that time and stuff like that, and then off she went, and then so much speculation about WWE versus AEW and taking time out, and has she achieved everything she can in WWE? Certainly, she's had a stellar career in there. She's won it all, done it all, been right at the front of a lot of what's been brilliant in women's wrestling over the last X amount of years. Was a focal point for the women's evolution. Unbelievable in NXT, unbelievable up on the main roster. Um, Now heading off out of contract to take a sabbatical for a period to be a mother, to have time to herself, to live a bit of life and stuff like that. Obviously, Seth at home nursing the knee injury. He's going to be out for, the guts of 8-12 months, maybe it is. So obviously he needs a bit of attention as well. And just the two of them just to decompress maybe and be a family with their beautiful child and all that kind of stuff and all. But how do you feel? I mean, with everything that she's achieved in their Hall of Fame career, no doubt about it, for both of them, that's enshrined in there. Could potentially Becky be looking at the free agency, the free market at the moment? Would she be looking? Could AEW potentially be an option there? Would Tony Khan throw massive money on it? Darren was saying to me today, how would Mercedes feel about that? If she did come in, Mercedes has gone in there to be that top dog, if you like, that CEO. Would her nose be put out of joint? Would Becky take that leap? To me, it seems that she would be very loyal to WWE and stuff like that. But if you've been there, it's very hard to stay motivated, I would imagine, when you've won it all and done it all. And also, not only that, if you're taking time out, let's say it's a year, look at how much women's wrestling has evolved in the last year. Look at who has come through. The Tiffany Strattons of this world, Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill's in there, Rhea Ripley's development, Liv Morgan now, and so many other women wrestlers in there in WWE. And a year is a long time to be gone. And I said it at the time with Mercedes Moné before she went into AEW. If she goes back into WWE, where is she going to sit? Where is she going to fit? She was one of the top four. She was part of that women's evolution and all that kind of stuff. But it takes time out. And then where do you find yourself? Because it's evolving and it's moving and developing so quickly. And if you decide you want to go back in there, are you happy to go back in there at a certain level? And then kind of move yourself back up there again? Do you have that desire to climb that ladder again because it moves so quick and all those kind of things? We seen when they were building Rhea so much and Charlotte was there as well, and Becky was obviously involved with the Trish and the Lita stuff and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool to watch, both from a nostalgia point of view, but obviously from a bucket list point of view from her for her as well, to be working Trish and Lita and stuff like that. And all must have been really, really cool. But that was her kind of taking time to move aside, and then the stuff in NXT to move aside, and let Rhea be Rhea, you know what I mean, or whoever else was carrying the belts. So how do you feel about this? Could Tony Khan come in with a huge offer? The kind of offer that you couldn't refuse. And would that be the case? Because obviously when he brought in Mercedes Moné, he was expecting like that would bump things and would be huge and stuff like that. But it hasn't kind of moved the needle in terms of what they might expect it to do. If Becky went in there, are we feeling that kind of female situation like when Hogan went to WCW and then they turned him heel? We went from the yellow and the red to the black and white. Now I know that was huge at the time. We never thought we'd ever see the day, but it happens. So many wrestlers jumping back and forward. Would it tarnish her legacy in WWE? Would it affect future situations like the Hall of Fame? Would it affect going forward the kind of stuff that they get involved in WWE, the exposure to Hollywood, to movies, to TV shows, your exposure out there as a global superstar, all that kind of stuff. These are all the things that have to be factored into a decision if this came along. It might not necessarily about just the offer of kind of generational wealth. Let me know how you think about it. Let's take your comments and see what you think. As a huge Priest fan, I would love to see Priest hold the title until SummerSlam. Talk is he probably will, Keith. Let's see what happens, because again, we don't want to necessarily go from long-term storytelling and long title reigns back into kind of flip-flop and stuff like that. And if you take the belt off Priest, kind of that situation with the Judgment Day and all, then what do you do with that situation? Would be very, very interesting. It's a tough decision of election voting, but it's my choice and thoughts. What do we think? It's a tough decision of election voting, but it's my choice and thoughts. What do we think? Not too sure. Uh, and not a fan of Money in the Bank anymore. Not a fan of it. But again, it's another situation where it opens up again the opportunity to cash in and have a title shot. Maybe not carry it around for a whole year. Becky will just take some well earned, well deserved time. And come back and it'll come back just as great. Yeah, I mean that's the general thinking out there. I mean, I think the relationship between herself and WWE, and like she met her husband there, she started her family there, all that kind of stuff, and obviously that bond with Triple H down in NXT, and that unbelievable foundation work that he did down there with that women's division, and how it grew, and how it matured, and how all these women became unbelievable superstars and shot up then onto the main roster, and really the women's division in WWE over the last 6, 8, 9 years, whatever it is, has just taken the wrestling business by storm. Incredible. But I do agree, Kenny. I don't see Becky going to AEW, to be honest. She will take a few months off and imagine we'll be back around WrestleMania season. Interesting, yeah. Porrick, it's a tough decision for the election voting for Dahl airing. Do you know something, Porrick? I haven't even looked at it. I don't even look at it. Generally, I don't look at it. And Simon Harris is my local guy here. I live in Wicklow. So, but I don't know. It's really hard to know what way that works. I think a lot of people are just disillusioned by it. Morris, who's in the chat here, is running for the local councils, as far as I know. LM Gaming, I would say I can't see Becky going to AEW, but if there's anything the last few years of wrestling has taught us, is that anything can happen in wrestling. Yeah, like imagine it was a gigantic offer. Like we heard apparently the contract with Mercedes Moné and how much that's worth and stuff like that. Becky's obviously would be bigger, I would imagine. And then how do the rest of the girls on the roster feel about that as well? Some of them are in there working probably and being paid probably a fraction of what these girls will be getting paid. But then again, there's levels to this business, isn't there? People in WCW weren't getting paid what Hogan was getting paid, but they were quite happy as all the levels grew He's substantially on the back of his level and stuff like that and all, you know. Daz, when can you see Seth coming back and as a face or a heel? Um, Probably come back as a heel. And we're probably not going to see him. We might see him Survivor Series or maybe Rumble. Could be a surprise entrance in the Rumble. Ian, if Drew loses, at least he will get a song at the end like last year. Yeah, absolutely. You think Becky will retire by the time she hits 40? She's 37 now. Yeah, well, there's no point in generating this profile. She's gone off and she's had a kid. She's an unbelievable person that we know. Um, she's an absolute sweetheart. And I'm sure she wants to live her life a bit. You know what I mean? And the pressure, no, like the pressure of being in that position in WWE and having to show up week in, week out, day in, day out, both herself and Seth and the young one, the kid, and living out of a motorhome, that's all well and good for a while. But there does come a time where you might just want to bring your dog and your kid for a walk to the playground. And you might want to walk down to the local shop and pick up some stuff. And you might want to just sit at home and watch telly and have a swim in your swimming pool and, spend some nice time with your husband, some downtime and with your family and with your extended family. You know what I mean? She was only here a few months. She was only here last month for that house show and all. She was here for 2 days. She spent one day in the family home. You know what I mean? And you guys, most of you guys in the chat and all know from an Irish point of view, and it's an English thing as well. Family is everything. Family really is everything. You know what I mean? And you know, these guys and gals in WWE on this wrestling and this schedule and stuff like that, they miss out on so much important stuff. And it's only when you look back, you realize the stuff that you missed out on and stuff like that. And then you ask yourself, was it worth it? So hopefully she takes a bit of time out and hopefully does a lot of that good stuff and enjoys this downtime and decompresses and, you know, chills out and all that kind of stuff and see where it takes her. And then she can come back. And like we said, most of us are expecting her to come back and WWE and all and stuff like that. There's one thing about this girl that we know, that she's extremely loyal. Generally, when she comes home, if she has time, she'll always pop into me to say hello in the shop. She's always back at OTT. She always meets up with Joe and Paddy and all the lads and stuff like that. And, she always makes time for everyone and stuff like that. She's the most selfless person that I know. She gives up her time for everything. And look, go and enjoy yourself. You've generated the wealth to do it. You've generated the life to do it. Enjoy it. And then if you feel you want to come back, there's no guarantee she'll want to come back. She might enjoy it so much that she may not want to come back. I'm just mad when you tell me that, Keith, she's 37 now and about to turn 40. I think I met Becky when she was 17 or 18, I think. It's crazy. It's crazy where those 20 years go and stuff like that. They just fly by in the blink of an eye. Right, let's take some quick history. Not much this week for you and stuff like that. I did have to dig deep. We have some good notable birthdays in there as well. So let's start off. First of all, 2016, just for you. Yeah. Sean, if you're still in there and any of you Irish wrestling fans, OTT, even better than our best, took place in Dublin, Ireland. Be Cool and Sammy D won the OTT tag team titles after defeating Bonesaw and Damien Corvin. What a match it was. I remember I was at the show. Awesome stuff. 2014, the first ever NXT takeover was held at the Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida, and that set the legacy for NXT takeover in future years. I had the pleasure of witnessing a couple of them, and they were absolutely outstanding. Myself and Dino on WhatsApp talk about those NXT takeovers, the ones that we were at, still to this day. Some of those matches with Adam Cole and Aleister Black and the Undisputed Era and Johnny Gargano and stuff like that. Absolutely incredible, to mention a few. What's up? In the main event, 1981, in Charlotte, North Carolina, Sweet Ebony Diamond, of course, Rocky Johnson defeated Greg Valentine to win the NWA television title for the second time in just over a month. 1988, at a taping of WWF Wrestling Challenge in Fresno, California, the Rockers Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty made their re-debut, if you know the Rocker story, and defeated the team of Steve Lombardi and Terry Gibbs. Still remember Terry Gibbs this day. Black trunks, mustache, Jerry Curl kind of mullet. Michaels and Jannetty as the Midnight Rockers had been signed the previous year, but then let go within weeks due to partying too much. We know the story all too well. Um, Absolutely. We also have NXT Women's Championship there. Charlotte defeated Natalia in a tournament final to win the vacant NXT Women's Championship, to name but a few. Some notable birthdays, guys. Natalia's birthday is this week, 1982. Eric Bischoff, Eazy-E, 1955. Seth Rollins celebrates his birthday this week, 1986. Jeremy Borash, 1974. Chaz Warrington, who you would know as Headbanger Mosh, 1969. Samu, 1963. Hornswoggle, 1986. Brian Kendrick, 1979. Steve Corino, 1973. A guy who I used to really like in NXT, No Way Jose, 1988. Seen him wrestle Austin Aries in the 3 Arena, and it was brilliant. Jake the Snake Roberts, 1955, celebrates his birthday. Congrats, Jake the Snake Roberts. Literally, us or him never thought we'd see that. But very happy to still have the Snake Man with us. Vampiro, 1967. And we rounded out 1990. Montez Ford, Bianca Belair's squeeze, celebrates his birthday this week as well. That's all your birthdays. We had a good few birthdays this week. Not a huge amount of history and stuff like that. So we'll dig deep again next week to bring out a little bit more and stuff like that. Daz is in. I think Sting's son will go to AEW and help Darby. Who knows? Who knows? LM Gaming. Where do you think AEW go next with the oh I'm not too sure. I thought we were building something nicely with Dynasty. Huge elements of Double or Nothing that I enjoyed, but again, still some of that kind of silliness in there. So I'm not too sure. Let's see what happens. Keith, Niall, I looked up the average age of WWE roster and it's around early to mid 40s. I do feel they need to start bringing in some young guns soon for the future. They do, Keith. And I was only actually thinking about that today. Good that you mentioned that. I was only thinking about that today. Like Randy's getting up there in years. He was saying he wants to go till he's 50. Whether that's the case or not, we shall see. But there is a lot of them climbing up there now who may want to just go off and enjoy the fruits of their labour. But the one thing we know about WWE, they're very good. They're very good in this case, and especially if you look at the women and the way they're doing it. Look at what's in behind what's come up in the last announcement, in the draft. Look at what's coming in behind there. Look at the women down there at the moment on NXT and all doing a stellar job. And then when you see some of the men as well, the future is very bright for them at the moment. But I do think there's a little bit of elevation needs to actually bring some guys up and stuff. We spoke about it earlier with Ricochet. Needs to come up there a lot more, you know. No bother at all. Not a bother, my friend. Not a bother. No hassle. But yeah, that's it, folks. Another show in the bag. Thanks for joining me as always for these weekly wrestling shows. Again, we will be back next week. We'll bring you more flavour of news and stuff like that. We'll review the usual Raws and SmackDowns and anything that's going on in AEW and if there's any more releases and all that kind of stuff. And we'll motor on. Up next, I suppose, is Clash at the Castle. And Jerry Acers mentioned there Forbidden Door as well, so we'll have a look at those and we'll be dropping little previews and all that kind of stuff. And again, hit me up if there's anything you want me to cover or you want me to look into. Hit me up, the upper tier podcast at gmail.com. You'll get me out there. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, we're everywhere. So wherever you want to hit us up if you have any suggestions or anything you want to do. I will have a look, Sean. As I said, that's Scrappermania. We'll do a preview on that and stuff like that. We'll get you on to do that and get our thoughts and stuff like that and how the local scene is progressing and stuff. We'd like to keep supporting that as well. Folks, we will talk to you again real soon. I'll see you tomorrow night with Darren for a preview for the Champions League final, plus plenty more gossip, opinion, football news, all that kind of stuff. If you can't join us, of course, hit a like on the way out on the video if you can, folks. Make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell notification button. Drop that like on the video. So important. Really, really important to keep us growing all the time. And I will be back on your screens tomorrow night. Have a good evening. Cheers, folks.